Shroomraver here, and welcome back to Let's Make a Mini, this series where I'll be taking some of our favourite characters from the world of TV, movies, video games, comics, all that good stuff, and making them as playable TTRPG minifigures right here on Hero Forge. Yes, indeed. Now, Hero Forge have had a few updates once again. You know, Tuesday has been and gone, so the Treasure Trove Tuesday has happened. Now, I actually haven't seen what's been going on here, but I know it's some gear stuff. We've got all these new utility things, some cool shields, and the newest thing though are these awesome new spell effects, which is really cool. I've seen a lot of people using these very effectively already. We're not going to be using any of these today though, because the character we're going to be making today is from a series that we've already made someone from. We're going to be revisiting the world of Avatar: The Last Airbender, and we are going to be making one of a lot of people's favourite characters, Toph, the blind earthbender, who is a friend of the main party. I'm really excited to be doing this one. It's quite a simplistic build, which is quite different from some of the ones I've been doing recently, but I'm excited to get into it, so without further ado, let's make a mini. So, starting off, we're going to be going with the human female character here, which is quite fun. Again, not much we really need to do with this character. The hair we do want to change though, from the default. This is quite a fun new hairstyle that's been introduced, but we're certainly not using that. We are probably, well, we could use the pigtails, but there is something better, I think, a little further down the list, and it's going to be this one. It's going to be the Buns, which we're going to be using. We can't really get the sort of the big balls that she has, the sort of the cotton ball things that she has on the side, but we can get the buns in. I don't think there's really anything other than that we really want to be using at this point. Like, we've got the Afro Puffs, but they're a bit too big, so we won't be using that. Now, in terms of the body, we kind of want to make her obviously look a little bit younger, so let's get onto the measurement. We'll take her down in height to about 5 foot. The weight is a little lower, and we want to make the bust smaller as well. That will seem fine to a nice even 0.5, and that will do quite nicely. Not a whole huge amount else we need to do, so immediately we can just start getting onto the fun stuff, the clothing, the gear, the colours, all that stuff, and we can start making Toph. Now, a bit difficult to do this, but I think there is a way. We're going to have to use some quite unorthodox stuff. We have these quite cool cloth wraps, which we could use, but we don't want to. Certainly not until the advent of layered clothing, which is coming. The Thief's Reinforced Leather chest piece is quite fun too, but we actually want to use something a little bit unorthodox for this, because she's kind of got some layered clothing going on. And the best way to do this, I think, is going to be to use, as I say, some unorthodox pieces. So for the chest piece, what we're actually going to do is use this, the Dwarven Breastplate. Now, you might not think of this as the most obvious choice, but I think it's going to work quite well to get the kind of cloth layering, the kind of, I've got my reference picture here, the kind of the greens and the creams that she wears going on. And it's a similar story with the legs, because Toph is barefoot. She has kind of shin guards going on, and again, layered cloth leg wear. So again, we're going to use something a little bit different, a little bit unorthodox. We could use the soldier's waist wrap, but there is an option that's going to allow us to get layered cloth leg wear and some kind of shin guards in one, and it's actually this, the Egyptian warrior leg wear, which you might not expect, but she does have this kind of middle sash over layered clothing. And here we have the shin guards. You know, she's barefoot, so she can feel the tremors through the earth. She does have these shin guards, and that's going to work really nicely. We're going to add some gloves in as well, and looking at it, we want something that can get us a bit of layering, free hands, still see a little bit of the arm. So the basic plate mail is an option here, and it might be our best option, because what we want is simplicity. That's a bit too busy. There's a bit too much going on with the elven ones. And looking further down, like, we could use these, but again, they're not quite right. So I want to use those, I think. I think that's going to be our best bet. Yeah. That is going to be our best bet. Obviously, it's not looking much like Toph at the moment. The last thing we want to do is get some headgear going, and we want this simple headband. We're not going to be able to see much of it, but we don't need to see all that much of it. That's going to be fine. I will put the base in. We're going to have a stone textured base. That seems fairly obvious to me. And now we can get onto the fun stuff. We're going to get onto the colouring before we add anything around the base, because the base is going to be quite busy with what I have in mind, with lots of sort of stone effect going on. So let's get into the colouring. We're going to give her a nice base body layer. Light skin, I think, is going to work here. She is quite pale. So let's go with this, I think. No, let's go with a little bit deeper. That's fine. That's okay. It's the right hair colour, as you can see. There are a few things we do want to change here, though. Let's firstly go with the pose. I want to get the face in. She doesn't smile. She's kind of moody like that. And that's okay. So now, colouring. We want creams, we want greens, we want yellows. So looking at it, we want a couple of different greens. The yellow, not too much. The cream, certainly more. So let's get on this. For the main green, we don't want something too dark. This is probably our best bet. So the shirt, and indeed the undershirt. Don't think I want that bit green, I want that bit sort of cream. These parts are going to be the emerald green. These parts are going to be the emerald green as well. And we're going to have some tricolour on the gauntlets. Already we've got a nice amount of green going on. Now I want a bit of a darker green for some of the belts, and I think that's where this one up here is going to come in quite nicely. So let's add that to there. Which bit of this do I want to do green? I think this bit. We get the belt in green as well. That's not too bad. The headband, sort of two-tone green yellow. Let's get some yellow in there. As I say, this is a very simplistic build. This probably isn't going to be the very longest of videos. That's not bad. We'll add yellow in there. We'll make those yellow just to add that sort of splash of colour. And now we want cream. We do want it to be a little bit darker than that, not quite as sort of luminous. It is a little bit too luminous for my liking there. So let's go into the mix and take that down a notch. So we want the high to be a little darker. That's much better. Yeah, I like that. Yeah, I think that'll play quite nicely. Now the eyes, we can certainly make different. We're going to make them grey, and we're certainly going to edit these two. What we want to do is edit the pupil, because she's blind. So let's take that to this kind of grey. Unfortunately, we can't really get the very edge of the iris a different colour, which is unfortunate, but that's okay, because that is really showing the blindness quite nicely. We're going to take the lips down to a natural colour as well. And that realistically is kind of where we're going to be going with Toph. So now let's do the base. As I say, this is a really simplistic build. There's not a lot that we really need to do here. So we'll make that colour, and now we just need a lot of different stonework. So we'll have some cobble brown. We'll have some ember in there as well. That's nice. We've already got the cobble. Let's add some marble in, I think. That's quite good. And a little bit of the darker black on the individual pieces. I think that's going to play nicely. Yeah. Good stuff. Now let's get the pose in so that we can get, because sometimes when you mess with the pose, the base items will shift around a little bit, and we don't want them to overlap with the feet too much. So there are a few ideas we can go with here. I want to get this idea of her doing the earth bending like this. This low psychic isn't really what we're looking for. This is an option because it's going to show her crouching, and we can really mess with the arm poses, and I think that's going to be one of the better ones We certainly don't want... I mean, that's got potential, but I don't really like it as much. The kneeling we certainly don't want for this. So that looks okay to me. Now we can get the base items in. And there's a few options here. We obviously have seen before, or you probably have seen me scrolling past if I haven't used it before, that we have somewhere around here, if I can find them. Where are they? Here, the crystal cluster. We're going to add in a crystal cluster. And normally I would do 2, but one of my new favourite options is a very simple one, and it's just large rocks. And as you can see, they are already not overlapping too much with Toph's feet, which I like. So now we're going to just splash in the rocky colours around there. Like we'll add in some ember colouring to the top and bottom of various ones. We'll make some of these a lot darker, which I think is going to work well. We'll make a nice dark rock there. Add some marble colouring to some of these. Get a lighter rock in the middle, marble on the bottom there, and we'll make this that colour on top. And now we've got a nice variety of different coloured stonework, which I quite like. The last thing we really want to do is get her advanced posing right, and the main thing here is going to be with the arms. So for example, this wrist, we're going to twist all the way around and then bend it or tilt it all the way back so that she's got that kind of pose. And this one we almost want to do the opposite with. We want to sort of bend it and tilt it down. Let's get the elbow down a little bit. We want to have this one sort of more down here. And we want a clenched fist, I think would be nice here. Yeah, that's not bad. Let's have her at least looking in the right direction. I know she's blind, but come on now. Get a twist in there, we'll get a sort of bending the head. Let's tilt it a little bit down here. Let's get a little more bend and twist going on. And she's looking in the right direction. And I know that this is quite a short video, but realistically, that is kind of Toph done. There's not really a whole huge amount we need to do here, because very simplistic build, quite a simplistic pose, and just in general a simple idea executed. So that is going to be it for Toph really. I know that we haven't had a long video, but let's take a little work around here. Let's have a look. As you can see, the clothing isn't ideal, but it's as close as we're going to get without messing around with stuff that doesn't look exactly right. So these kind of clothing options, they're not traditionally seen on a lot of builds, especially not this kind, but they are going to work as well as they can, and it is very unmistakably Toph. We've got a good pose going on here. This was the most part of it. She does have that kind of earth-bending pose going on. Looking around the back, we've got a nice amount of boulders going on here. Now what we could do potentially is maybe add just one more thing. I'm going to experiment a little bit here. We're not using these spells. There is one spell I have in mind that could work. And it's not the crystalline cluster. That's really messed with the hand pose. Oh dear. No. We're going to have to edit that if we do this. What I'm thinking is a little further down. And it's this pose, the rock clusters. And I think that is actually really good. So we're going to edit the pose once more. Twist the wrist round. Let's get a bit of bend on there. And now we can see she's actually messing with rocks. This cool, like, rocky spell effect, which again I don't use very often. And we can really multi-tone it as well, which is very fun. Get a bit of multicolored rock work going on in there, and that is really going to show Toph for what she can do. I wonder if that's going to be the best. I want to kind of Do I want to twist it and bend it around a little bit? Tilt it more in that direction. That's much better. So now she's kind of forcing these rocks out as well while she's still got that kind of pose going on. And I think that's going to work much nicer because now we can really see her putting in work with the earth bending. Not a traditional use of that spell effect, but I think it's going to work quite nicely here. And she's still got the kind of fist at the side ready to go in with another move. So that is going to be Toph finally completed. So thank you all very much for watching. Do hope that you've enjoyed. Remember, excuse me, if there are any minis that you want to see me make, put them down in the comment section below or hit me up on Twitter. You can always catch me there. Both of my Twitter links will be in the description of this video, along with a link to Hero Forge, the site I am using to make all of these minis, one of my most used websites on the entire internet. I've made way too many minifigures. It's a really easy user interface, so many options they're constantly adding to with amazing new features. I highly recommend it if you're into tabletop roleplay games and D&D and stuff like that. I highly recommend using this website to make your minifigures. It is my go-to option, and I think that you might love it as well if that's your bag. Another link that you'll find in the description, of course, as always, a link to the series that inspired this one over on Tulok the Barbarian's channel, Building Character, where he makes the characters not as minifigures but as actual playable character sheets, which I think is a fantastic idea and inspired this one. But I'm going to get out of here. I've rambled far too long, so my final thank you to you all for watching. And I guess with that, I'll see you next time. Laters.